God says, before December ends, a big love decision is. Don't scroll, listen to this, because the moment your eyes met these words something inside you softened and tightened at the same time, and that reaction is not random. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, so take a breath and let the room get quiet for a second, because God is speaking gently but clearly, and He wants you to know that before December closes its final page, a love decision that has been forming in silence will step into the light. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what you've been feeling lately, the heaviness in your chest, the sudden calm followed by longing, the nights where your thoughts circle one person without explanation, those are not coincidences, they are signals, and your heart needs this right now because God never stirs a heart without intention. Listen to this, your story has not stalled, it has been aligning, and the waiting you've endured was not punishment, it was preparation, because there is a soul tied to yours who has been standing at a crossroads, wrestling between comfort and calling, fear and faith, silence and truth, and before December ends that wrestling reaches a decision point. Don't scroll, this message is for you, because the other heart involved has been awakening quietly, questioning their patterns, noticing the emptiness where distraction once worked, and realizing that love without depth no longer satisfies, and your heart needs this right now because awakening always feels uncomfortable before it feels clear. Listen to this, God says the signs have been increasing on purpose. 111 showing up when new beginnings are being whispered, 222 appearing when balance is being restored, 444 reminding you that protection surrounds this connection, and 555 flashing like a warning and a promise that change is no longer optional. And if you've been seeing these numbers more often, don't scroll, because heaven is trying to get your attention. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the person connected to you has been replaying moments, conversations, eye contact, feelings they tried to minimize, and every replay is God pressing pause so they can finally hear what their soul has been saying all along. Don't scroll, because the silence you've experienced was not abandonment, it was incubation. It was God holding both hearts steady so fear wouldn't rush what truth was still forming. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because you may have wondered if you imagined the connection, if you read too deeply, if you hoped too much, but God says what is imagined fades quickly, and what is divinely aligned grows quieter and deeper until it can no longer be ignored. Don't scroll, because this love decision is not about drama, it's about clarity, and clarity often arrives softly. Listen to this, God says the other heart has been feeling restless, unsettled, unable to return to who they were before you crossed their path, and that discomfort is holy, because holy discomfort pushes souls toward truth. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because before December ends there will be a moment, maybe a message, maybe a conversation, maybe an internal realization so strong it changes behavior, where a choice is made between staying safe and stepping into alignment. Listen to this, because God is not forcing the decision, He is illuminating it, and illumination removes excuses. Don't scroll, this message is for you, because you've been doing your part without realizing it, choosing peace over chasing, choosing dignity over desperation, choosing faith over fear, and God says your stillness has been louder than any words you could have spoken. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the love decision forming is not only about them choosing you, it's about them choosing honesty, courage, and growth, and those choices always ripple outward. Don't scroll, because fear has been the final wall, fear of change, fear of vulnerability, fear of admitting that what they feel is real, but God says fear does not get the final word, truth does. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the reason December feels heavy and sacred at the same time is because endings and beginnings overlap here, and something must close for something real to begin. Don't scroll, because you may feel tired lately, emotionally drained, even peaceful in a strange way, and that's because your spirit already knows what your mind is still learning. Resolution is coming. Listen to this, God says do not chase, do not beg, do not explain yourself into clarity, because what is meant to move toward you will do so without force, and before December ends the energy around this connection will shift from waiting to knowing. Don't scroll, because the love decision approaching is not chaotic, it is calm, it is honest, it is steady, and it will feel like relief rather than shock. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because you are not behind, you are not forgotten, and you are not asking for too much, you are simply aligned with something that required divine timing. Don't scroll, because when the decision arrives you will feel it before you see it, a lightness in your chest, a quiet confidence replacing doubt, a sense of, this makes sense now. Listen to this, God says trust the process you survived, trust the growth you didn't notice happening, and trust that before December ends, what has been forming in silence will finally choose truth, and your heart will recognize it instantly. Don't scroll, stay right here, because if part 1 stirred something inside you, it's because this message is still unfolding, and this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, so breathe and let yourself settle into this moment, because what God is revealing next goes deeper than what you can see on the surface. Listen to this, don't scroll, the love decision forming before December ends is not happening suddenly, it has been building quietly through layers of realization, conviction, and spiritual pressure, and the reason you felt emotional waves lately is because those layers are thinning. Your heart needs this right now because the person connected to you has been experiencing an internal tug-of-war, one part of them wanting to stay where things feel familiar, predictable, and safe, and another part feeling pulled towards something truer, deeper, and more aligned, and that pull has your name written all over it even if they haven't said it out loud yet. Don't scroll, because God says the reason it feels intense now is because avoidance no longer works, distractions no longer soothe, and old patterns no longer satisfy, and when comfort stops comforting, truth begins to speak louder. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the other heart involved has been waking up at odd hours, feeling emotional without knowing why, and sensing that something important is approaching even if they can't yet define it, and that's because God is compressing time, bringing lessons forward so a decision can be made in clarity rather than confusion. Don't scroll, this message is for you, because you've been questioning whether the waiting was worth it, whether the connection was real, whether you should finally let go, but God says the waiting wasn't wasted, it was refining. It was stripping away illusion so only what's real could remain. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the signs have not been subtle. Songs playing at exact moments, names appearing unexpectedly, dreams that feel more like conversations than imagination, angel numbers lining up when your thoughts drift toward love and future, especially 1111 signaling alignment. 333 calling attention to truth, and 555 repeating when the pressure to change becomes unavoidable. Don't scroll, because these signs are not meant to confuse you, they are meant to calm you, to remind you that heaven is involved in what your heart is experiencing. Listen to this, God says the person connected to you has been trying to reason their way out of what they feel, listing pros and cons, timing issues, and responsibilities, but love that is divinely guided doesn't disappear under logic, it waits until logic catches up. Your heart needs this right now because what's forming is not impulsive, it's intentional, and intention takes time. Don't scroll, because before December ends there will be a shift where indecision becomes heavier than decision, and that is the moment when truth demands movement. Listen to this. God says the emotional distance you may have felt was not rejection, it was resistance, and resistance always weakens right before it breaks. Your heart needs this right now because the breaking point is not destruction, it's clarity. Don't scroll, because you've been sensing the change before seeing it, feeling calmer yet more aware, less anxious yet more alert, and that's because your spirit already knows the season is changing. Listen to this. God says do not underestimate the power of your silence, your boundaries, and your growth, because every time you chose peace instead of chasing, you showed heaven you were ready for something real. Your heart needs this right now because readiness attracts alignment. Don't scroll, because the other heart has been noticing your absence in a different way now, not as distance, but as weight, realizing that losing access to your energy would mean losing something irreplaceable. Listen to this. God says fear has been whispering to them that choosing truth will disrupt their life, but faith is whispering back that staying misaligned will cost them more. Your heart needs this right now because fear speaks loudly at the threshold of change. Don't scroll, because before December ends there will be a moment where something clicks, where confusion collapses into clarity, and when that happens the decision will feel obvious rather than dramatic. Listen to this. God says the reason He hasn't revealed every detail to you yet is because trust grows in the space between knowing and seeing, and you have been growing. Your heart needs this right now because you are not waiting empty-handed. You are waiting empowered. Don't scroll, because the love decision forming is not about pressure or ultimatums, it's about alignment, and alignment cannot be rushed but it cannot be denied either. Listen to this. God says you may soon notice a shift in communication, energy, or presence, something subtle but unmistakable, and when it happens your body will recognize it before your mind does. Your heart needs this right now because truth brings peace, not anxiety. Don't scroll, because the person connected to you has been praying in their own way, even if they don't call it prayer, asking for clarity, asking for peace, asking for direction, and every time they ask, the answer keeps pointing back to the same truth they've been avoiding. Listen to this. God says avoidance has an expiration date, and that date is approaching quickly. Your heart needs this right now because you are not meant to beg for clarity. Clarity is coming to you. Don't scroll, because the reason December feels emotionally charged is because it carries endings, reckonings, and revelations, and God uses endings to clear space for what's next. Listen to this. God says the decision being made is not just about love, it's about integrity, honesty, and choosing growth over fear, and when someone chooses growth, love follows naturally. Your heart needs this right now because what's coming will feel stable, not shaky. Don't scroll, because the universe is aligning circumstances quietly, conversations behind the scenes, realizations in solitude, signs that arrive at the exact second they're needed, all moving toward one clear moment of truth. Listen to this. God says when the decision arrives, it will not feel like chaos breaking loose, it will feel like tension releasing, like finally exhaling after holding your breath too long. Your heart needs this right now because relief is a sign of alignment. Don't scroll, because you may feel tempted to rush the process or doubt yourself in the final stretch, but God says this is the moment to stay grounded, stay open, and stay faithful to what you've learned about yourself. Listen to this. Your heart needs this right now, because before December ends, the waiting will make sense, the silence will explain itself, and the love decision forming will step into the light not as a surprise, but as a confirmation of what your soul already knew. Don't scroll, stay with me, because if you're still here it means God is continuing the message, and this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, so let your shoulders drop and your breath slow, because what is being revealed now explains why the pressure feels stronger as December moves forward, and why your spirit feels both tired and hopeful at the same time. Listen to this, don't scroll. God says the love decision forming before December ends is reaching its most honest phase, the phase where excuses fall away and truth stands alone, and that's why everything feels intensified now. Your heart needs this right now because intensity does not mean danger, it means proximity to clarity. Listen to this, the other heart involved has been revisiting moments they once brushed past, realizing that what they dismissed as timing, coincidence, or not ready yet, was actually fear wearing a familiar mask, and God says fear always shows itself right before breakthrough. Don't scroll, because this message is for you, and you may have felt waves of emotion that don't seem connected to anything happening in front of you, moments of peace interrupted by longing or sudden certainty followed by doubt. And God says that's because two hearts are being synchronized, and synchronization always feels like turbulence before it feels like harmony. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now. Because the signs have been speaking louder, clocks repeating 11. 11 when you think about the future, 2:22 when you wonder if love can really be balanced, 4:44 when you need reassurance you're protected, and 5:55 when change feels unavoidable, and these numbers are not meant to scare you, they're meant to steady you. Don't scroll, because heaven does not repeat itself unless something matters. Listen to this, God says the person connected to you has been feeling the weight of indecision, realizing that staying neutral is no longer neutral, that silence has consequences, and that choosing nothing is still a choice. And that realization is heavy because it demands honesty. Your heart needs this right now because honesty brings relief after resistance. Don't scroll, because the waiting you've endured has not weakened you, it has clarified you, stripping away what you will no longer accept, what you will no longer chase, and what you will no longer settle for, and God says that clarity is the reason this decision will be different from past ones. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the love decision approaching is not fueled by desperation or loneliness, it is fueled by awakening, by a realization that love must be chosen consciously, not accidentally. Don't scroll, because God says the other heart has been wrestling privately, praying silently, asking questions they never thought they'd have to face, like, what do I really want, and what am I afraid to admit, and what will it cost me if I stay where I am? Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because those questions mark the shift from avoidance to accountability. Don't scroll, because you may have felt tempted to reach out, explain yourself, or seek reassurance, but God says your restraint has been part of the miracle, because it created the space necessary for truth to surface without pressure. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because stillness speaks louder than pursuit. Don't scroll, because before December ends there will be a moment where the other heart recognizes that choosing alignment does not mean losing everything else, it means gaining integrity, peace, and direction, and that realization will change how they move. Listen to this, God says fear has been loud lately because fear senses its grip loosening, and when fear starts to lose control, it raises its voice. Your heart needs this right now because loud fear often precedes quiet courage. Don't scroll, because courage doesn't arrive as confidence, it arrives as willingness, and willingness is forming now. Listen to this, God says the emotional fatigue you felt is not burnout, it's release, the letting go of uncertainty you've carried longer than you realized, and your heart needs this right now because release creates space for clarity. Don't scroll, because December is a month of reckoning, and what has been postponed must be faced, what has been hidden must be acknowledged, and what has been felt must be named. Listen to this. God says the decision forming will not feel rushed or chaotic, it will feel calm, almost simple, like finally choosing what makes sense after months of confusion. Your heart needs this right now because simplicity is the fruit of wisdom. Don't scroll, because you may notice subtle changes in energy soon, shifts in communication, tone, or presence, moments where something unspoken feels closer to being said, and God says those are signs of alignment nearing completion. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the universe always softens the ground before something real steps forward. Don't scroll, because the person connected to you has been realizing that losing you would mean losing a version of themselves that feels honest, alive, and whole, and that realization has weight. Listen to this. God says weight is not meant to crush, it's meant to anchor. Your heart needs this right now because anchoring prevents impulsive choices. Don't scroll, because the love decision approaching is not about proving love with words, it's about demonstrating truth with action, and action will follow understanding. Listen to this. God says you are not meant to chase closure or demand answers, because clarity is moving toward you on its own. Your heart needs this right now because what is aligned moves without force. Don't scroll, because before December ends there will be a release of tension, a sense that something has settled, whether through conversation, confession, or an undeniable shift in behavior, and that settling will feel like peace, not shock. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because peace is how God confirms alignment. Don't scroll, because the reason this message keeps finding you is because your spirit is receptive, open, and ready, and God does not speak to closed hearts. Listen to this, God says trust the process even in its final stretch, because endings often test faith the most. Your heart needs this right now because faith is strongest when sight is limited. Don't scroll, because what's forming is not fragile, it is deliberate, and deliberate things last. Listen to this, God says the decision being made is not just about love, it's about choosing truth over fear, growth over comfort, and alignment over habit, and when those choices are made, love follows naturally. Your heart needs this right now because you are not waiting in vain. Don't scroll, because as December moves closer to its end, clarity will replace confusion, calm will replace tension, and certainty will replace doubt, and when that happens you will recognize it immediately, not with racing thoughts, but with a deep, steady knowing that what has been forming in silence has finally chosen to step forward. Don't scroll, stay right here with me, because if you've reached this part it means God is still speaking and your spirit is still listening, and this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, so take a slow breath and let your chest soften, because what God is revealing next explains why the final stretch before December ends feels heavier, quieter, and more meaningful than anything you've felt all year. Listen to this, don't scroll. God says the love decision that is forming is now entering the stage where truth can no longer hide behind delay, distraction, or excuses, and that's why everything feels amplified, not chaotic, but weighted. Your heart needs this right now because weight doesn't mean something is wrong, it means something is real. Listen to this, the person connected to you has been sitting with thoughts they used to avoid, asking themselves why your presence lingered when others faded, why your absence spoke louder than noise, and why their heart felt restless whenever they tried to convince themselves nothing was happening, and God says those questions are holy, because holy questions lead to honest answers. Don't scroll, because this message is for you, and you may have felt moments lately where you suddenly understood something without anyone explaining it to you, moments where clarity arrived quietly instead of dramatically, and that's because your spirit is syncing with what heaven is already doing. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the other heart involved is being stripped of illusion, slowly but completely. And illusions always fall quietly before they fall completely. Don't scroll. God says the reason silence has been part of this story is because silence removes performance, and without performance only truth remains. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the person connected to you has been noticing how different this connection feels from past ones, how it doesn't spike anxiety, doesn't demand proving, doesn't drain them, but instead asks them to be present, and presence feels unfamiliar when someone is used to surviving instead of feeling. Don't scroll, because unfamiliar peace can feel threatening before it feels safe. Listen to this, God says the fear you sense around this decision is not fear of you, it's fear of change, fear of rearranging life around truth instead of habit, fear of admitting that comfort is not the same as fulfillment. Your heart needs this right now because fulfillment always costs something old. Don't scroll, because December is not just an ending month, it's a revealing month, a month where what was postponed must be named, and what was hidden must be faced. Listen to this, God says the other heart has been replaying conversations they never had with you, words they almost said, truths they almost admitted, and every replay is building courage, not confusion. Your heart needs this right now because courage grows quietly. Don't scroll, because the signs have intensified for a reason, not to overwhelm you, but to steady you. Angel numbers appearing in clusters. 1111 when alignment is near, 222 when balance is being restored, 444 when protection is active, and 555 when change becomes unavoidable, and God says if you've noticed them more lately, it's because the decision is nearing completion. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because heaven does not repeat itself unless something is ready. Don't scroll, because you may have felt emotionally tired recently, not sad, not hopeless, just done with uncertainty. And God says that feeling is a sign you're ready for resolution. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the love decision forming is not being rushed, but it is being finalized, and finalization feels quiet, not dramatic. Don't scroll, because drama belongs to indecision, not clarity. Listen to this, God says the other heart is realizing that choosing nothing is no longer neutral, that silence now carries consequence, and that avoiding the decision will cost more than making it, and that realization is sobering. Your heart needs this right now because sobering moments lead to maturity. Don't scroll, because maturity changes how love is chosen. Listen to this, God says you have been protected during this waiting period from making emotional compromises you would have regretted later, and that protection sometimes felt like delay, but it was mercy. Your heart needs this right now because mercy doesn't always feel gentle at first. Don't scroll, because the reason you haven't been given every answer yet is because answers given too early are often misused, and God wanted you grounded before resolution arrived. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because grounding creates discernment. Don't scroll, because before December ends there will be a moment, small on the outside but massive on the inside, where the other heart finally stops negotiating with fear and starts listening to truth. Listen to this, God says that moment may not look like a grand declaration, it may look like consistency, honesty, presence, or a clear shift in behavior, and your heart needs this right now because truth shows itself through action. Don't scroll, because you may feel tempted in this final stretch to doubt yourself. revisit the past, or wonder if you waited too long, but God says the waiting refined you, it didn't weaken you. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because refinement creates standards, and standards protect love. Don't scroll, because the love decision approaching is not about excitement alone, it's about sustainability, about choosing something that can last beyond emotion. Listen to this, God says the other heart has been learning the difference between intensity and intimacy, and that lesson is reshaping their priorities. Your heart needs this right now because intimacy requires courage. Don't scroll, because courage is forming quietly. Listen to this, God says you may notice your intuition growing calmer instead of louder, and that calm is not indifference, it's certainty settling in. Your heart needs this right now because certainty feels steady, not urgent. Don't scroll, because urgency fades when alignment arrives. Listen to this. God says the reason this message keeps finding you is because you are aligned enough to receive it without panic. Your heart needs this right now because peace is how heaven confirms truth. Don't scroll, because the decision forming before December ends is not fragile, it's deliberate, and deliberate choices last. Listen to this, God says when the decision is made, it will not shock your spirit, it will confirm it, and you'll recognize it by the relief that follows. Your heart needs this right now because relief is the body's yes. Don't scroll, because you are not meant to chase resolution, resolution is moving toward you. Listen to this, God says stay grounded, stay open, stay honest with yourself, because the final stretch tests faith the most, but it also rewards it. Your heart needs this right now because faith is strongest when sight is limited. Don't scroll, because before December ends, what has been forming quietly will step into clarity, and when it does, you won't need to question whether it's real. You'll know, not with racing thoughts, but with a deep, steady peace that tells you the waiting had a purpose and the decision has finally chosen truth. Don't scroll, stay with me, because if you've made it to this part it means God is still unfolding the message layer by layer, and this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, so take a slow breath and let the noise quiet down, because what God is revealing next explains why the energy around this love decision feels heavier but clearer at the same time. Listen to this, don't scroll. God says the final phase before December ends is not about waiting anymore, it's about integration, the moment when everything that's been felt, avoided, questioned, and prayed about begins to settle into truth, and that settling can feel emotional, reflective, and deeply personal. Your heart needs this right now because integration often feels like exhaustion before it feels like peace. Listen to this. The person connected to you has reached a point where pretending neutrality is no longer possible, where staying silent feels louder than speaking, and where avoiding the decision creates more discomfort than facing it, and God says that discomfort is holy pressure, not punishment. Don't scroll, because holy pressure exists to move souls toward alignment. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because the other heart involved has been revisiting their own story, looking honestly at past relationships, choices, and patterns, and realizing that what they once called normal was actually survival, not fulfillment. Don't scroll, because this message is for you, and fulfillment always disrupts survival patterns. Listen to this. God says the reason this decision feels so significant is because it's not just about love, it's about choosing a new way of being, a way rooted in honesty instead of avoidance, presence instead of performance, and courage instead of fear. Your heart needs this right now because real love requires real growth. Don't scroll, because the emotional weight you may feel lately is not sadness, it's readiness. The readiness to stop living in questions and start living in truth. Listen to this. God says the signs have not stopped, they've shifted, less dramatic, more consistent. Numbers appearing when you feel calm instead of anxious, moments of intuition arriving softly instead of urgently, and that shift means clarity is stabilizing. Your heart needs this right now because stability is how heaven confirms alignment. Don't scroll, because the person connected to you has been noticing how your energy feels grounding rather than overwhelming, how thinking of you brings relief instead of chaos, and that contrast has been changing how they define love. Listen to this. God says love that calms the nervous system is not boring, it's healing, and healing always feels different from what the heart is used to. Your heart needs this right now because healing rewrites attraction. Don't scroll, because December carries a closing energy, and what does not align with truth cannot be carried forward into what's next. Listen to this. God says the other heart has been feeling the weight of unfinished business, not externally, but internally, knowing that something must be addressed honestly before the year closes. Your heart needs this right now because unfinished emotional chapters create restlessness. Don't scroll, because the restlessness you sense is not confusion, it's conscience awakening. Listen to this. God says you may have felt moments of unexpected calm lately, even joy without reason, and that's because your spirit is preparing to receive clarity without fear. Your heart needs this right now because peace is the foundation for truth. Don't scroll, because the love decision forming is not fragile, it's grounded. And grounded things move slowly but surely. Listen to this. God says the person connected to you has been letting go of fantasies and focusing on what's real, asking themselves whether a connection can support who they are becoming, not just who they've been, and that question is reshaping everything. Your heart needs this right now because becoming requires courage. Don't scroll, because the waiting period refined your discernment, taught you when to hold back and when to trust, and God says that refinement is why you won't accept confusion disguised as love anymore. Listen to this. Your heart needs this right now because standards protect destiny. Don't scroll, because the other heart has been realizing that love is not proven by intensity alone, but by consistency, effort, and integrity. And that realization is guiding their next step. Listen to this. God says integrity always moves slower than impulse, but it lasts longer. Your heart needs this right now because lasting love is built, not rushed. Don't scroll, because you may feel the urge in this final stretch to do something, to break the silence, to seek reassurance. But God says stillness is still your assignment, because truth is stepping forward on its own. Listen to this. Your heart needs this right now because what is meant to move toward you will not need chasing. Don't scroll, because the decision forming before December ends is not about winning someone over, it's about alignment choosing alignment. Listen to this. God says the other heart is beginning to accept responsibility for their feelings instead of blaming timing, circumstances, or fear, and that acceptance is the gateway to action. Your heart needs this right now because accountability changes behavior. Don't scroll, because the emotional release you may feel soon. Tears, relief, clarity, or sudden peace, is not weakness, it's resolution forming. Listen to this. God says resolution does not always come with fireworks, sometimes it comes with a deep exhale. Your heart needs this right now because exhaling means the tension is leaving. Don't scroll, because December's energy is about closure with truth, not avoidance, and God will not allow this chapter to end without honesty. Listen to this. Your heart needs this right now because honesty is how cycles break. Don't scroll, because the person connected to you is learning that love requires presence even when it's uncomfortable, and avoidance only delays growth. Listen to this. God says growth is no longer optional for them, it's required. Your heart needs this right now because required growth produces real change. Don't scroll, because the love decision approaching is not about forcing a future, it's about choosing what aligns now, and alignment naturally shapes the future. Listen to this. God says when the decision is made, you'll notice a shift in how you feel inside, not anxious, not questioning, but settled, like something has finally clicked into place. Your heart needs this right now because settled peace is confirmation. Don't scroll, because the reason this message keeps coming to you is because you are aligned enough to receive it without fear. Listen to this. God says trust the process even now, especially now, because the final stretch always tests patience the most. Your heart needs this right now because patience is rewarded with clarity. Don't scroll, because before December ends, what has been weighing on your heart will find resolution, and when it does, you will understand why everything unfolded the way it did. Listen to this. God says the decision forming is not random, not delayed, and not uncertain. It is intentional, divinely guided, and approaching completion. Your heart needs this right now because you are not waiting in vain. Don't scroll, because what's coming will not shake your peace, it will confirm it, and you'll recognize the truth not by excitement alone, but by the calm confidence that tells you this chapter is finally closing with honesty and opening with alignment. Don't scroll, stay right here, because if you are still listening it means God is still speaking, and this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, so slow down, take a breath, and let the weight you've been carrying rest for a moment, because what God is revealing now explains why everything feels so quiet yet so intense as December continues to move forward. Listen to this. Don't scroll. God says the love decision forming before December ends has entered a sacred pause, not a delay, not a stall, but a pause where truth settles and fear loses its grip, and that pause can feel unsettling when you're used to movement, but it's holy. Your heart needs this right now because holy pauses prepare hearts for honesty. Listen to this. The person connected to you has been experiencing moments of stillness that feel different from emptiness, moments where they sit with themselves without distraction, without noise, without excuses, and in those moments they are hearing their own heart more clearly than ever before. Don't scroll, because clarity grows in silence. This message is for you because silence has been part of the assignment for both of you. Listen to this. God says the emotional tension you've sensed lately is not confusion, it's compression, the feeling that comes right before something solid takes shape, and compression always feels tight before it releases. Your heart needs this right now because release is coming. Don't scroll, because the other heart involved has been feeling the weight of truth settling in their chest, realizing that love is no longer a question of if, but a question of what am I going to do with what I know. Listen to this. God says that shift is monumental, because questions keep us safe, but knowing requires responsibility. Your heart needs this right now because responsibility changes behavior. Don't scroll, because the person connected to you has been recognizing how often they used uncertainty as protection, telling themselves they needed more time, more clarity, more signs, when what they really needed was courage, and courage is forming now. Listen to this. God says courage doesn't arrive loudly, it arrives quietly, as a willingness to stop running. Your heart needs this right now because stillness is where courage takes root. Don't scroll, because December is a month of reckoning, and God does not allow awakened hearts to carry unresolved truth into a new season. Listen to this. God says the other heart has been feeling a strong internal pull to get things right before the year ends, not out of fear, but out of integrity, and integrity is becoming non-negotiable. Your heart needs this right now because integrity anchors love. Don't scroll, because you may have noticed your intuition becoming calmer instead of louder, less anxious, more grounded, and that calm is not indifference, it's certainty settling in. Listen to this, God says certainty does not rush, it waits patiently until the moment is right. Your heart needs this right now because waiting with certainty feels different than waiting with doubt. Don't scroll, because the signs you've been seeing have shifted too, fewer frantic synchronicities, more gentle confirmations, numbers appearing when you feel peace, not panic, moments of reassurance instead of urgency, and that shift means alignment is stabilizing. Listen to this, God says when alignment stabilizes, action becomes natural. Your heart needs this right now because natural action lasts. Don't scroll, because the person connected to you has been reflecting deeply on what love actually costs, realizing that avoiding truth costs more than facing it, and that staying comfortable costs more than changing. Listen to this, God says this realization is sobering, but freeing. Your heart needs this right now because freedom follows honesty. Don't scroll, because the emotional exhaustion you may feel is not weakness, it's release, the body letting go of the tension it held while waiting for resolution. Listen to this, God says exhaustion often precedes peace. Your heart needs this right now because peace is near. Don't scroll, because you have been protected during this season from reacting impulsively, from settling out of fear, from repeating cycles that once felt familiar, and God says that protection sometimes looked like delay, but it was mercy. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now because mercy preserves destiny. Don't scroll, because the love decision forming is not about grand gestures, dramatic confessions, or emotional highs, it's about alignment choosing alignment, truth choosing truth, and peace choosing peace. Listen to this, God says real love feels quieter than fantasy, but stronger than doubt. Your heart needs this right now because strength doesn't shout. Don't scroll, because the person connected to you has been imagining what it would feel like to finally speak honestly, not perfectly, not poetically, just truthfully, and that imagined honesty feels relieving instead of terrifying. Listen to this, God says relief is how you recognize readiness. Your heart needs this right now because readiness invites movement. Don't scroll, because December carries closing energy, and what remains unresolved will feel heavier until it is addressed, and God does not want either heart entering a new season with unfinished truth. Listen to this, God says the decision forming will not feel forced, it will feel inevitable, like the only option that makes sense after everything that's been learned. Your heart needs this right now because inevitability brings calm. Don't scroll, because you may feel tempted in this final stretch to second-guess yourself, revisit old doubts, or wonder if you waited too long, but God says your waiting refined you. It did not delay your blessing. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now because refinement produces discernment. Don't scroll, because discernment is what allows you to recognize real love when it arrives. Listen to this, God says the other heart has been noticing how your energy feels different now, steadier, more grounded, less reactive, and that steadiness has made them realize that what they feel is not based on fantasy, but on truth. Your heart needs this right now because truth endures change. Don't scroll, because the love decision approaching is not about proving feelings, it's about honoring them. Listen to this. God says honor always leads to right action. Your heart needs this right now because right action follows alignment. Don't scroll, because the final days before December ends may feel emotionally quiet but spiritually loud, filled with subtle nudges, inner confirmations, and moments of deep knowing, and God says those moments matter. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now because knowing does not need explanation. Don't scroll, because when the decision is made, It will not arrive with confusion, it will arrive with relief, like finally setting down a weight you didn't realize you were carrying. Listen to this, God says relief is the soul's yes. Your heart needs this right now because yes feels peaceful. Don't scroll, because you are not meant to chase resolution. Resolution is moving toward you. Listen to this, God says stay grounded, stay open, stay faithful to what you've learned about yourself during this waiting, because the final stretch tests patience the most. Your heart needs this right now because patience protects peace. Don't scroll, because before December ends, something will settle, something will choose truth, something will close honestly, and when it does, you will not question whether it's real. You will feel it in your body, in your breath, in the calm that replaces uncertainty. Listen to this, God says that calm is confirmation, and confirmation is already on its way. Don't scroll, stay right here, because if you've reached this final part it means your spirit has been following every step of this unfolding, and this message is still for you. Your heart needs this right now, so take a breath and let yourself be present, because what God is revealing now is the moment everything you felt without proof finally begins to make sense. Listen to this, don't scroll. God says the love decision that has been forming before December ends has reached the point of truth without resistance, the place where the heart stops arguing with itself and simply admits what it knows, and that admission changes everything. Your heart needs this right now because truth does not arrive with chaos, it arrives with calm certainty, and that calm has been settling around you even if you couldn't name it. Listen to this, the person connected to you has crossed an internal threshold, one where fear no longer feels safer than honesty, where silence no longer feels protective, and where avoiding the truth feels heavier than facing it, and God says this shift is irreversible. Don't scroll, because this message is for you, and you may have noticed a deep quiet lately, not emptiness, but a stillness that feels like anticipation. Like the air right before a storm that doesn't destroy but cleanses. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because that stillness means something has settled, a decision has crystallized internally even if it hasn't been spoken yet. Don't scroll, God says the other heart is no longer confused, they are resolved, and resolution does not rush, it waits for the right moment to act with integrity. Listen to this. Your heart needs this right now because integrity always moves deliberately. Don't scroll, because the emotional waves you may have felt. Sudden peace, unexpected tears, deep relief without explanation, are signs that your spirit already knows what your mind is still catching up to. Listen to this, God says your spirit recognized the shift before words existed for it. Your heart needs this right now because intuition speaks first. Don't scroll, because the signs have been aligning in quieter ways now, not dramatic interruptions but gentle confirmations. Numbers appearing when you feel calm, memories resurfacing without pain, dreams that feel reassuring rather than urgent, and God says this is how you know the decision is rooted in truth, not impulse. Listen to this. Your heart needs this right now because truth does not need urgency to be real. Don't scroll, because the person connected to you has been imagining what it would feel like to finally stand in honesty, to stop managing perceptions and start honoring feelings, and that imagined honesty feels freeing, not frightening. Listen to this, God says freedom is how you recognize alignment. Your heart needs this right now because alignment brings relief, not anxiety. Don't scroll, because December's energy is about closure with clarity, not loose ends, and God will not allow this year to end with unresolved truth lingering between awakened hearts. Listen to this, God says what is being chosen now is not just a relationship, but a way of living more honestly, more present, and more aligned. Your heart needs this right now because love that lasts is built on truth, not timing excuses. Don't scroll, because you may have noticed you're no longer asking the same anxious questions you once did, no longer checking for signs out of fear, no longer needing reassurance the way you used to, and God says that's because your spirit has already received confirmation. Listen to this, your heart needs this right now because confirmation often arrives as peace. Don't scroll, because the person connected to you has been feeling the weight.